Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Was Rimuru Tempest, guys. First of all, get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, I indeed have 3 more channels. Yes, that's correct, 3 more channels that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. I'll be leaving a link down in the description for the other channels, so go ahead and check them out, from Anime King to Anime King 3 Anime Symbol, guys. And enjoy! And don't forget to turn on the bell notification because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado, or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this? Let's begin now, guys. So the last time we left off, Naruto Uzumaki, a young boy, was born with an exceptional ability, vastly more powerful than anything this world has ever seen before. However, the problem was, he was supposed to be the container of the 9 tails, but the beast could not be found. The chakra could not be found. The seal that his father placed on him could not be found, which was heavily confusing as no one could quite understand just where it was. Hiruzen Sarutobi decided to steer the boy away from a life of hatred of being a Jinchuriki, and the information about that was sealed away. However, he couldn't afford anyone to find out who the boy's parents were, knowing that enemies would come out of the woodwork trying to kill said child. So, when the option to adopt the boy came up, Mikoto Uchiha came forward to adopt said boy. However, her husband, Fukaku Uchiha, was against it, not wanting that. Him and Minato did not really get along well in the past, and he did not want the boy to be brought into his circle. He believed that she already had 2 children to look after. Why was she stretching her range? That night there was a argument between the two, as she refused to go by what he says. It did not take long for her to bring the boy home, as Fukaku wanted nothing to do with the young boy. However, Itachi was by his mother's side to help her, along with his younger brother Sasuke Uchiha. Both Naruto and Sasuke grew up like brothers, Mikoto and Itachi being there for him, as some of them in the clan did not accept him because of the hatred that Fukaku carried, him being the clan head and all. So things were not as easygoing as Naruto would like it to be. However, his mother, big brother, and his brother Sasuke would always be by his side. Mikoto told him that he couldn't know who his father was. Naruto trusted her to not question anything about that, but she did tell him who his mother was though. Her best friend Kushina Uzumaki. When Naruto and Sasuke was out practicing one day, Sasuke ended up hitting Naruto with a fireball on accident. In that moment, Naruto awakened great Kurama in his mind. The once powerful 9-tailed fox had merged with something that was known as the Great Sage, as Naruto also possessed a skill known as Predator as well. Kurama went on to explain it to him, as Kurama could identify and understand objects, said information going back to Naruto. Naruto wanted to keep this a secret for now, understanding what the repercussions would be if people find out about this. Sasuke was the only one that knew, but he wanted it to be quiet just for now. Some time passed as Naruto could see what was going on within the village, mostly the Uchiha clan, the hatred that was being sent their way. He couldn't get answers, so he had to take them. As he learned the ability, reawakened said ability because Naruto also learned that he was some kind of reincarnation of a powerful being, a literal godly level being. He entered Itachi's mind and got the information when he was sleeping, spraying him with a sleeping agent to make sure that he doesn't wake up. After finding out what would happen, Naruto spent the next couple of months agonizing over it. Yes, it was hard for him. He was just a young boy after all. However, Naruto decided to take it upon himself to do the right thing. The first thing he did was absorb one of Danzo's men. He got the memories, the abilities, the skills, which allowed him to sneak in after putting all the people that he wished to save to sleep. Once they were sleeping, Naruto left that night, making his way and absorbing Danzo root one by one, tricking them by transforming into their friends and comrades. Once he was close, however, Fu and Torun were much smarter, as Naruto was infected by the poison, but Kurama was able to purge it out of his system. As Naruto gained poison resistance, he absorbed it too, only for Fu to take over his mind first. However, Naruto was able to use mind overwhelmation and overwhelm his and take over his body. However, Danzo speared him right through the chest, not hesitating to take him down for the good of Konoha. Danzo thought that he killed Naruto by severing Naruto in half, when Naruto froze up after actually killing someone. Absorbing someone was different. He could still feel them a part of him, but he took the life of someone for the first time. You had to keep in mind that he was a child, so it was rough on him. However, Danzo got too close as Naruto, body latched to him, started to absorb him. Danzo trying to escape, but Naruto used his gas to knock him out. The memories of Danzo flooded through his mind before Kurama concealed most of them. However, Naruto was able to see the horrors of the shinobi world. He felt like he wanted to throw up. He felt like he wanted to stop and give up, but he continued on as he went to the Uchiha. Yes, making his way to the police force, he absorbed everyone that was a part of said coup, the ones that wanted it to happen. With that said and done, Naruto looked for Fukaku, but he could not find him, until Naruto felt something. While everyone was asleep, Naruto toxin making sure that they would sleep through most things that would pass the night. Naruto found Fukaku. The man knew that something was up, but he never knew that it would extend to this degree. But that doesn't matter now. For the boy to possess power like this to subdue the members of the police force, Fukaku was going to use Naruto to take back the village. Yes, he was going to take the hidden leaf with the power that Naruto wielded. As he decided to tell Naruto why, well, it wasn't all on why he despised him. He was always seemingly jealous of Minato, it seems, gaining the position of Hokage, something that he did not deserve. In the way Fukaku saw it, everyone seemed to forget that Madara Uchiha was a part of this village creation, and yet they pushed the Uchihas away. But he had enough, and it was time that he finally made his move. As Naruto was worrying when the man's eyes changed from the normal Sharingan into the Mangekyo. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across to the place checked off yourself so to begin this new episode. The moment their eyes met, Fukaku cast Naruto under a genjutsu to put his mind to sleep. He then thrust forward with the intention of grabbing Naruto and getting all of this over. However, he was surprised when Naruto tilted out of the way, dodging his hand. Fukaku did not let up though, as he followed up with a brutal kick that sent Naruto sailing across the field, as his body was sent towards the woods, where he slammed into a tree before collapsing on his butt. Fukaku of the Wicked Eye That is what they called him. Gaining such a reputation, thousands fear him, having unlocked the Mangekyou during the war. However, he has kept it away from everyone, keeping it a secret. As he slowly advanced towards Naruto, he started to speak. Able to undo my genjutsu so quickly. More than impressive, he said. His eyes now displaying the Mangekyou Sharingan as he looked at the terrified Naruto. When their eyes met, Naruto found himself in a world of darkness. There was nothing around. Nothing and no one. He could not even see his own hands. Pitch black. Where am I? He said. His voice echoing all around, returning back to him tenfold. It was quite aggravating as Naruto tried to understand where he was and what exactly was going on, but he could see nothing. He tried to get to his feet, but before he could, a voice spoke. This is the effects of my Mangekyou, a world within my hands. In here, I reside as a deity, controlling all. And you shall spill every last secret that you possess, starting with how you were able to subdue the entire police force. The darkness then proceeded to swallow Naruto, containing him, pushing his mind into a semi-unconscious state where he would reveal all the truth. What the hell are you doing? Kurama spoke in his mind. I can't win, said Naruto. And why do you believe so? Kurama said. The others, I caught them off guard. They were all surprised. He's stronger than me, faster. I can't beat him. Face to face, said Naruto. Fear, said Kurama. That is the only thing holding you back right now. Your fear. Have you forgotten what your ability Predator does? All of those that you absorbed. You haven't just gained their abilities or their fighting style. You've gained their experience, their memories. You've gained it all. So compared to what you know right now, he is nothing. But you're allowing your fear to hold you back from reaching your full potential. And if you don't do something about it now, you will become a pawn in someone else's game. And I refuse to be a pawn as well. So stop cowering away from what you need to do. Letting your emotions guide you down this path will only lead to defeat. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes, Kurama said. The moment Naruto did as he was told, the genjutsu shattered like glass. Fukaku stepped back, a shocked look on his face, not quite understanding how this was possible. As Naruto rose to his feet, a dark, black and red aura surrounded him from head to toe, oozing off his body. Naruto's gaze looked up. As their gaze met, Fukaku actually taking a step back to the sheer power that he could feel as he looked into those eyes. I won't allow you to do this, said Naruto. It doesn't matter what I'll have to do. Immediately, shurikens dropped into Fukaku's hand. He thrust them forward and went through hand sign. They multiplied into dozens. The slime forming around Naruto's hand turned into a Tanto blade. Naruto spun and sliced the first shuriken before deflecting all the others. Fukaku breezed towards him, his feet raised high. However, Naruto blocked it with one arm, cancelling out the force. His skin no longer normal, taking on the steel armor on his hand. Naruto knocked said feet away. Fukaku flipped and launched more weapons down towards Naruto. Naruto created a mace in his hand as he started to spin it, one of the many weapons that Danzo had. Naruto spun it so fast that it became a blur, deflecting everything that Fukaku threw. As Naruto let loose of the mace, the spikes on it shot in outwards. Fukaku twisting and jumping and dodging, evading all of them as he reached Naruto. Naruto made himself larger as the both of their fists collide with each other. The both of them then went straight into taijutsu, Fukaku's Sharingan moving like a blur. However, it was phenomenal. Naruto was keeping up with him. No, that was not all. Bam! A brutal fist to his face launched Uchiha across the goddamn field. Skidding and coming to a stop, Fukaku reached up and touched his mouth to see. Blood? Naruto reached him in a second, swinging a brutal fist to his skull. Fukaku weaved underneath it and pushed Naruto away, blurring through hand sign as he exhaled. A colossal fireball that took the entire place, racing towards Naruto, the flames raging hard. Fukaku did not stop as he kept on exhaling. Naruto took in a deep breath before he exhaled black flames from his mouth. The two opposing flames clashed violently and vigorously until Naruto's hands started to cackle with black lightning. Thrusting that forward as well, it combined with the flames, creating a whirlwind of death. Immediately Fukaku's technique was overpowered. As Naruto thrust his hand to the side, Fukaku was surrounded, unable to escape. That is when his power surged. When Naruto's attack died down, as Naruto thought that he got him, Naruto saw red eyes. As the dust and smoke cleared, the upper half of a humanoid being stood there. This was Fukaku's Susanoo. It looked like a samurai warrior with a helmet. One piece coming down where the nose was, the other pieces going around the head. The eyes were pitch red, crimson like blood. Now with all of this power surging, you would think that someone would be alerted. However, Fukaku was here first and he thought ahead, erecting a barrier with sealing tags around the area. They were used mostly for training when the higher heads test themselves against one another and didn't want to cause any emotion. However, the problem was the power that was being used was a bit too overwhelming and it was becoming problematic. Fukaku expected a fight, that is why he used them in the first place. But he didn't expect the fight to reach this level. After all, he knew that Naruto would come for him. He purposely allowed his chakra to slip, allowing Naruto to sense it and follow it straight to the forest where no one would detect them. However, all the people were sleeping, courtesy of Naruto, sleeping gas, so they wouldn't be awake. However, there were people within the hidden leaf, but the barrier was preventing anything from coming through. As the monstrous form of his Susanoo raised, the armor was pitch black, like night itself. It held its hand out and created a shuriken. The thing spun with so much force. It launched it. It ripped the ground apart, splitting trees, tearing everything to sunder as it came to Naruto. Naruto immediately erected a barrier in front of him. The moment he did so, the weapon clashed against it with such vigorous force as it was still spinning, chipping and cracking away at his barrier. Fukaku used the opportunity to launch several more towards Naruto as they were becoming overwhelming. However, Naruto's body suddenly expanded as he turned into his slime form as he swallowed all the powerful weapons, reducing his size back to himself. Naruto contained the power inside of him as he exhaled a bit of black smoke. Kurama quickly went on analyzing the technique. Naruto stepped forward and held his hand out, now holding on to a black shuriken in his hand. As 5 of them gathered around his body, they started spinning random directions it seemed, but they had a pattern. Naruto launched each of them at the same time. However, Fukaku Susanoo created a Fuma Shuriken and split them down the middle, crushing a few of them like it was nothing. But he took his eyes off Naruto. Naruto was nowhere to be seen. He snapped his gaze up. Naruto was above him as he expanded himself and came, dropping down, trying to absorb the entirety of the Susanoo. Fukaku, realizing that he was caught, immediately exited Susanoo and jumped away. All the chakra was swallowed by Naruto. Fukaku actually feeling the thing stripped from him, a portion of his power, as Naruto's body not only latched onto the chakra, it ripped it out of him. Naruto returned back to his normal size, the size that he was fighting Fukaku at, looking towards the man who was breathing a bit heavy, frustration marring his face. This wasn't supposed to go this way. Fukaku's eyes started glistening before he blurred away with speeds much faster than he was using before. As Naruto felt the breeze, a kunai slammed right into his side. A shuriken slammed into his leg. Fukaku kept on blurring around Naruto, one after another. His speed was insane as he moved around, the redness of his eyes glowing in the dark like whips of smoke as he moved, showing an impressive amount of speed. As he appeared behind Naruto and drive a kunai right in the boy's side to incapacitate him, but not to kill. In that very moment, Naruto turned his body around by, transforming into his slime form and gripping onto Fukaku. He then smirked. Fukaku tried to break free, but he could not, as Naruto's slime form wrapped around him, holding on to him extremely tight. Fukaku watched as the pieces of Naruto's body start to heal itself pretty easily, like his attacks did nothing. "You're breaking your own barrier," said Naruto. "I don't want anyone to know what happened here tonight. I already have a plan set out for what is going to happen in the morning. But our continuous battle is going to shatter the barrier and alert the outside. So I had to stop fighting," Naruto said. "You're very strong. The strongest person I fought so far. However, I'm different. You might hate me and you will forever see me as something that bring disaster to your clan, but I will be the one to fix it, and not just it but everything else. And I will use your power to do so as well," said Naruto. Fukaku was so pissed off. You could see the hate in his eyes as Naruto slowly absorbed him. Predator evolved into Beelzebub, Lord of Gluttony, Kurama said, as Naruto Predator's skill evolved into something far more powerful. Gluttony was an advanced form of Predator that increased Naruto's control over absorption, manipulation of the consuming power that he takes, and digestion as well. The memories of Fukaku flew through Naruto's mind, his techniques, his skills as Kurama analyzed them. Naruto brain power processing at a rate that no normal human can, with the help of his great Kurama, of course. Naruto sat on his butt right there and then, knowing that he still had a bit of time. He already having a plan set out in his mind. He was a lot stronger than he realized, he thought, looking at his hands. The only thing that weighed him down was his doubt, his guilt of knowing what was going to happen tomorrow. Hearing the cries, seeing the sorrowful looks on their faces. However, he had no choice. Time skip. The next morning, as the day break, as the first Uchiha to step outside, there was a violent scream that erupted. It did not take too long for the Hokage to arrive. Hiruzen arrived to see chaos. Bodies of Uchihas scattered everywhere, lifeless and dead. It was a massacre. Someone had snuck into the village and wiped out a good portion of the entire Uchiha clan. The body of Fukaku was found in the forest, along with some of his members, dead. What seemed to be an epic fight had happened. It was something that left them puzzled. A lot of tears were shed that day. A lot of anger swirling in the hearts of the civilians that remained, as they saw their families, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, dead. It wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look at all. The moment this started to spread through the village, the villagers start to gain sympathy for them, having seen them lately as a threat because of some misdirected anger, but now, knowing that they just suffered a great tragedy. But people demanded answers. They wanted to know what the hell was going on. Who was the one behind this? In other news, as Hiruzen made his way to Danzo little operation, he was not alone. Itachi Uchiha was with him. What they found was a massacre. Every single root envoy was dead. Yes. And Danzo, sitting on his throne, lie dead. Both Hiruzen and Itachi looked at each other, both of them knowing what would have happened if something did not happen in time. But this made no sense. Itachi wasn't behind this. Hiruzen wasn't behind this. Then who? Who did this? Time skip. The massacre set off a rather great epidemic at the Hidden Leaf village. The village was temporarily on lockdown until more information was given on the matter. Hiruzen kept Danzo root agents' demise limited only to a few. But the public knew about the Uchiha massacre. While not all fell that night, majority of the fighting force fell away. Those that left, including Sasuke, Naruto, and Itachi. Naruto could not even be counted to an extent. Well, not that they knew anything. But the majority of the power was demolished immediately. The great force that they once held, with their eyes, with their skills. Their fighting power was diminished. Answers were being demanded by the other clans, fearing the same happening to them. However, as much as Hiruzen brought everything in, everyone, to try to find answers, no one could give him anything other than whoever did this was skilled enough to not leave behind any blood or any hair follicles, anything that would say that they were here. Upon questioning the other Uchihas, knowing that they were able to sleep through all of this, another, rather dangerous, something that he had to think about, that the person that did this, they put them to sleep, unlike Hiruzen and Itachi, who knew about the actual truth of what was going to happen. They were more fearful of somebody else knowing about the coup that was going to take place. Who else was brought into the circle? There was no one else. This didn't make sense. For a time there, Itachi actually believed that Shisui was alive, that he did not die when he fell off that cliff, that he was the one that came back to make sure that no coup was set, and that the village did not have an internal war. Hiruzen spared the information rather secretively, not wanting anyone to know about the coup. However, this prevented a great tragedy that was going to take place. But they still needed to know who was the one that did all of this. Majority of people were affected by this. Those that lost so much. After all, families were left behind. Fathers were taken away. Just like that. Mikoto Uchiha stood at the burial site of her husband. Husband. She wasn't even sure that that word could be used. how things had been over the past couple of years. She couldn't just leave the boy, despite the problems that Fukaku had with his father. She couldn't just leave him alone. He would have grown up an orphan, believing that no one was there for him. And for all the things that Kushina did for her, that was something she could never forgive herself for. Ever since, she and Fukaku has not really been together. They slept in different rooms. In the public eye, they seemed fine, but under the roof of their house, they were not together, separated apart. It just wasn't official. But despite that, there were times before that when he genuinely loved her, and she did the same for him. And now, standing here, knowing that she would never see him again, it was painful. Mikoto knew about the unrest that has been gathering in the heart of the clan members for some time now. Fukaku wanted to keep her out of it, believing that it wasn't her problem to handle. As the head of the clan, as her husband, he didn't want to make her stress. However, she knew that things were getting bad, and she feared that the Uchihas might do something against the village. And in his mind, he was protecting her, keeping her safe away from it all, despite what she already knew, knowing how bad it would become if his actions were taken. There would be a lot of life lost, because as powerful as her clan was, they lacked the numbers that the village possessed. But Fukaku believed that they could be victorious despite being outnumbered 10-1. She released a breath. Despite everything they've been through, she felt sad of his passing. Not just him, but others that she knew so well. She figured that news of this information had reached higher heads. This wasn't a surprise attack. She doubted that the other civilians within the clan knew. She was maybe one of the few. So she decided to just be quiet about it, realizing they were spared because they weren't the fighting bunch. Sasuke, Itachi, they were not put into it. And not just because they were the son of the clan head. It was because Itachi was pulling away recently, not seeming to be integrated with what is to come. And Sasuke had nothing to do with that. There were still fighters within the clan, like Izumi Uchiha, who was still alive. Still fighters within their teens that were still alive. That meant those who were targeted was because of what was going to happen. And someone put an end to that. She didn't believe there was any threat against her or any other life, but just in case she had to be cautious, she turned her gaze as she looked upwards. There he stood, Naruto, looking down towards her. He seemed rather concerned about her. However, she noticed something completely different. His eyes were not the same. Her mind ran on Naruto being a part of this, but that couldn't be. She told herself that just wasn't possible. As she made her way towards him to sweep away his worries, that she will be fine. She will recover. Just like that. Days turn into weeks and weeks turn into months. And months turn into years. The second tragedy that had struck the village other than the Nine-Tail attack had never been solved. Many years passed since the attack, as a 12-year-old Sasuke was currently standing by himself, his arms in his pocket, as he gazed over the field that was in front of him. His brother had been selected to take the title of clan head. It was in his blood after all. He was a son of their once leader, his father. Fukaku's death had affected Sasuke. To him, he believed that the man did not care about him, that he only cared about Itachi, but that was simply not true. He just couldn't show affections in a way that a normal father would. However, his death had affected Sasuke greatly, vowing to find who did it and make them pay for what they did to his people. His mother had been through it. However, they had been by her side, helping each other recover. Everyone in the clan had been by each other's side. His clan power might seem weaker than before, but he was going to make his clan great once again, working alongside with his bigger brother. Itachi had fit into the role rather well, leading the clan rather well, even taking the few older members that remain, making a new council. The clan felt different, much more calm. The police force was a thing of the past, their numbers having been greatly reduced. They no longer possessed the capacity to handle said force. Sasuke's mind then went towards Naruto, his other brother. Ever since that tragic event, Naruto has been acting strange. He spoke to his mother about this. He spoke to Itachi. They both told him that things like this affect people in different ways. He spoke to other people as well. It seems like Naruto was just now seeing what the world was truly capable of. Speaking of that, even now Sasuke had kept Naruto's secret. Naruto has not told him much about that whole thing where his body turned blue. He has kept a rather well secret. Sasuke was not overly obsessed about it, so they had not had time to speak about it a lot, as his mind was preoccupied lately, mostly focused on training, pushing himself day by day, learning new techniques, developing his skills to get stronger, to exact revenge for all of his clan fallen members, and to make his clan greater once again. That he vowed. Meanwhile, Naruto gazed down towards the village that was below him as he stood on the monument. A lot has happened in the past couple of years. He was 12 years old as he gazed down. Ever since he did what he did, it had surely affected him. His mental capacity, his emotions, everything. Absorbing all those people, it allowed him to see what the world was truly made up of. And there was so much pain, so much death, so much destruction. He saw people within the same clan that he vowed as a member of at the moment, crying, knowing that he was the one that brought their suffering, knowing that he stripped them of their appearance. As he stood by them, the emotional weight was great on him. Pushing away emotions, locking it away, would just affect him in the long run. Great wisdom from great Kurama. So Naruto chose to accept it. Accept all the pain. Accept all the trials and tribulations that he had to face. And that completely changed his mindset and his point of view. Having knowledge more than your average person now. Having skills more than your average person. In terms of raw power, there was no one in the village, perhaps in the elemental nation, that possessed more raw power than him. The techniques that he's relearned, the abilities that he's merged together. He had power to wipe out entire nations. Just like that. His power had been significantly increased over the past couple of years. He's explored beyond the walls. Having the ability to leave this village without being captured, it was pretty easy. He's seen the true horrors of mankind and eradicated a few. But it didn't seem like what he was doing was making a difference. Evil, darkness, chaos seemed to never, ever go away. Sometimes he wondered if there was a point. But then he came back home and saw the people that he was doing this for. The people that he cared for so much. And then he knew there was a point. There was a reason to keep on going. A reason to fight. A reason not to give up. So he held on to that. And he held it tightly. Time skip. As Naruto entered the academy, alongside Sasuke, the fangirls were all over them. The noise erupted. A lot of the boys in the class weren't too pleased by this. Sasuke wearing his white shorts, his Uchiha shirt and his sandals. Naruto clothing was different on the other hand. He was wearing a high collar, black shirt along with black and grey pants with the same insignia and symbols, combining the two as a perfect syncrecy as they met in between. Along with his sandals, he's also grown out his hair, the bangs coming down the side of his face. Naruto made his way and sat down, as someone immediately started to speak. Seriously, man, you gotta tell me how you do it. The person that was speaking was Kiba Inuzaka, one of his friends. Kiba wanted to know, how did Naruto did so little and yet so much girls in the class find him so alluring? Kiba had tried to mimic this in the past, but he has failed on every single occasion. So he needed answers. He must have been doing something wrong, not acting exactly like how Naruto was acting. Turning to face him, Naruto simply tilted his head. For the 100th time, I have no idea what you're talking about, said Naruto. No idea, huh? Said Kiba, turning Naruto's head for him to see the girls that were staring at him. He's made quite the reputation for himself, it seems. At first it was because of his closeness with Sasuke, the both of them being brothers and all, even if not by blood. But as the years passed by, he started to become an allure to them as well, and they started to divide and split. Ino Yamanaka had fallen for him ever since. They were younger when he picked up her hair clip and gave it back to her, and their eyes met. So she and the others, clashing against Sakura and her fan club, always cursing and arguing over which one of them were the hottest, leaving the other guys in the class rather pissed. Kiba was one such one, until he challenged Naruto and lost miserably. So he decided to forge a friendship to find out how exactly was Naruto doing this. However, Naruto was rather secretive to him with the answer. But really Naruto just did not know, as he didn't actively try to do anything. However, with his predator skill long upgraded, Naruto had gained more than just the experience as well. He's also gained the charms, the understanding of the female form, things that he would have never known until a far couple years in the future. But these girls were just children that didn't know what they want. Sometime he had to remind himself that he was also a child as well, because sometime he saw himself as an extremely old person with everything that he's accumulated over the time. But he had to remind himself that he was a child as well. Speaking of being a child, he has been keeping many secrets for some time now. And soon enough, very soon, the time will come when he will have to go out on the field. And he has been hiding too much. Today was the day that he figured that he was going to release some information about himself. Nothing that would lead back to him on being the culprit of the one that committed that mass genocide all those years ago. But in doing so, he had to get Sasuke to play along. Yes, to change the date of when they found out when he could turn into his slime form. Time skip. Why? Said Sasuke, looking at Naruto. To ease their anger towards us. What the hell do you mean us? Said Sasuke. Well, you're the one that burned me in the first place. So I kept the secret, Naruto said. Sasuke gritted his teeth and folded his arms. Fine, he said. So when then, he asked. Listen to me very carefully, said Naruto. Time skip. There was a knock on the door. Enter. It was the voice of Itachi Uchiha as he sat behind a desk. He couldn't see himself taking over his father's position this early in life. However, the clan needed someone to step up, and he was the one that was next in line, so he did step up. He had a lot of advisors, people to help him along the way, but so far they were doing good, despite the lack of strength that they once possessed being diminished greatly. It was coming along rather well. As Naruto entered into the office, where he was signing a few papers. After all, despite the Uchiha strength being diminished, their name was still in a lot of big investments that were within Konoha and outside in the Land of Fire, and in different regions as well. And Itachi was now in control of all of that. Not to mention he was the one that was keeping the grounds rather well. And since the demise of Danzo, there was no one actively fighting the Uchiha. Things between them and the Hyugas were even calmer than before. Reason being, the Hyugas now saw themselves as a clan without any equals, to be the strongest within Konoha with no one on their level, because the Uchihas were diminished greatly, and the people pitied the Uchihas. Therefore they sympathized with them, no longer seeing them as a threat. Itachi would never say this out loud, but what happened was the greatest possible thing that could have happened, because he knew what would have happened if something was not done sooner or later. And he wondered, every single day, did he have the heart to commit the massacre that would have followed? Naruto, how can I help you today? He said, looking at the young boy. There is something I've been keeping away from you all. Itachi narrowed his gaze. What do you mean? He said. Even after what happened, people were still mourning and sad. I felt it was not my place to draw the attention on myself. There was a lot happening. You having to take the seat. And the clan was in dire situations at the time. So I felt it was not right to say anything. But I can't hide this anymore if I'm going to be a ninja. I don't want there to be any surprises. Suddenly, Naruto turned into a small slime. Itachi was shocked. He got to his feet and made his way. What is this? He said, as Naruto reverted back to his normal form, his clothing still intact. It was a few months after what happened. Me and Sasuke was in the woods training. I had taken some of the kunais, knowing that we shouldn't be training with those as of yet, but I took them anyway. I wanted to be ready for what is to come. If whoever did that came back and tried to do anything, I wanted to be able to protect you guys. Sasuke too. But I guess rules are in place for a reason. I slipped up and I got hurt. I was bleeding from the stomach, from my own weapon. I was so afraid, but instead of getting worse, the pain slowly resided. And then I soon found out that my body could change, turning into that form that you saw me just took a moment ago. I could change my features, Naruto said, as he changed his form, making himself older and taller. He then reduced himself to the size of a child. I could twist and manipulate myself in so many different ways. I was so freaked out. I begged Sasuke to keep it a secret, not wanting to be the problem if there was one at the moment. And he promised that he would. I wanted to be able to learn and control whatever this was first. I've been tinkering with it and trying all I can for the past couple of years. And I believe that I'm at a point where I can fully utilize these strange abilities, or Kekigenkai, I'm not sure what they are, to their fullest. They, Itachi said. Yes, this new form comes with a lot of different quirks and abilities that I never knew of, said Naruto. Things I've managed to understand and learn about myself over the past couple of years. Itachi's full focus was on Naruto right now. Like what exactly he said? Time skip. It's alright, said Mikoto. You've always been such a sweet and caring child. Always putting each other first, in front of yourself. You did so to not cause any further problem between us, knowing that everything was hectic at the time. But know this, something you should already know by now. It doesn't matter what is going on. If you have a problem, do not hesitate to come to me. I will always be here to talk to you, no matter what, she said. As Naruto turned and smiled, a genuine smile at her. However, once again she saw it. The smile did not reach his eyes, which concerned her greatly. She leaned forward and hugged him, holding on to him, trying to comfort him as much. She knew that the event was traumatic, but it hit Naruto harder than she thought. There was another thought that was running through her mind, something that the depths of her soul did not want to even think about. So it blocked out, not really focusing on that. Time skip. He was asking me all sorts of questions, Sasuke said. I played along just as you asked, and I gave all the details. Why the hell if we're telling them everything? Why bother lie, Sasuke asked. I have my reasons, said Naruto. Which are, Sasuke said. You know, I did keep my mouth about you, setting me on fire. The least you could do is be thankful for that. Sasuke clenched his fist. You know that was a mistake. I never meant to do that. And I'm not going to allow you to hold that over my head for the rest of eternity. Tch. And who said I was? It is long forgotten. I just like to bring it up every now and again. That is what holding it over my head means, Sasuke said. Huh, I guess you're right, Naruto said, walking away. Hey, we're not done, Sasuke said, chasing after him. As both boys made their way, Itachi looked through his window as he saw them. His gaze was mostly fixated on Naruto though. Itachi had many suspicions in his mind. The unresolved case of what happened to the Uchihas was something that never left his thoughts most of the time. And as it seemed rather slim, the suspect, the one that did that all, the main suspect in his eyes was none other than Naruto. Yes, and he has his reasons. Yes, he did. However, he was not the only one suspecting something like that. Mikoto could see the boys from where she was, watching them, as she was watching Naruto make his way off with Sasuke. Ever since she saw those eyes, ever since she saw him, and now, with what he just revealed to them, the thoughts that she's been trying to block out were getting louder and louder. There were so many cryptic thoughts in her mind. Time skip. Naruto was walking through the Hidden Leaf Forest, having just recently become a genin. The test was rather simple. Extremely so. Too simple to be quite exact. At the moment there was a cadaver sleeping within his bed. It wasn't technically alive, a mere mimic form of himself. He had the ability of transmutation, able to create. He was also able to destroy as well. After all of the bodies that he had brought back were a part of him. Their skills and techniques, everything was still with him. But using his transmutation ability, he was able to do a lot more by creating fake evidence that led absolutely nowhere. The mystery has been unsolved for many years now. As Naruto walked within the forest, making his way, wondering how long it would take him to reach the path of a Jonin, knowing that a Genin level was rather restricted. He's kept his secret for many years now. But if he had shown it earlier on, he would have already been a Jonin, he presumed. But given his advanced level, he's sure that it won't be too long until he achieved that feat. The more he think about it, the more he thought what he was going to do. His goals and dreams and all of that, they were something beyond him at the moment. Naruto paused as his hearing picked up on something. As he took to the trees, blending in, he turned into his slime form and made his way. As he saw two men, he was surprised. One of them was Mizuki. The other one he did not know, but Mizuki called him Toji. Given his attire, he was a Chunin as well. Toji had something on his back. Having spent a lot of time with the Hokage, the man seemed to be more cooperative of him than most children. After all, he didn't really allow kids to hang out within his office or allow them to see things like that. That was a forbidden scroll. But why does he have it? The question plagued Naruto's mind as he jumped down. However, he was silent as he made his way. They're coming. We can't afford to stay here for much longer, Toji said. I told you, leaving now will be a silly mistake. The chances of us getting caught is too high, Mizuki said. You took the shift of Kaiser, remember? Who else know this except for the one that you were serving with? But you killed him when you stole the scroll. And I've killed Kaiser. Therefore, we'll just frame him. We'll place a scroll here. There's an underground labyrinth inside of this little hut. It doesn't lead anywhere or too far, but no one will really come out here and check. We'll allow time to breeze off before we head out. Fine, said Toji. But you better keep your word. The amount of risk I'm taking to do this. I'm just a part of this as you are, and I deserve to be as strong as you when Orochimaru reward you. I told you already. All of your dreams will be accomplished right in front of your eyes. He's a man that sticks to his words when you make him happy after all. Now let's go, said Mizuki. Betrayal. The both of them froze as they heard the voice. Turning, they saw the child standing there. You've been a part of this village for so many years now, yet you're so easy to sell it out. I hate these kind of feelings. Knowing that you could be betrayed so easily and so quickly by someone you should trust. You're a teacher, someone that is to mold the mind of the future generation, and yet here you are committed a great sin to your own village. How can the future generation be able to trust people if there are people like you within the teaching system? Naruto, what are you doing out here? Mizuki said. Damn it, this is bad, said Toji. We can't afford for him to blab to anyone. Easy, I can handle this. I heard what you said. There's no need to go and act like you are some saint or anything. It was just supposed to be a quiet night to allow me to clear my mind. But now, I'm gonna have to commit an unholy act in order to stop you from framing whoever you want to frame. You've already claimed a life in your pursuit. Orochimaru of all people. In the class, you were there when Iruka told us that he was a traitor and he all this time. What's wrong with you people? Said Naruto. Look, Naruto, I don't know what you heard Mizuki said, but you're clearly misunderstanding what is going on here. You see, enough of your lies! Keep your mouth shut. I'm not here to talk to you. I've learned a long time ago that there are some scum and virus that just need to be purged out of this world. You killing that guard to get this is something I won't stand for. Something I won't allow. You claimed his life. I'll claim the both of yours. Naruto said, stepping forward. Enough of this. He's just one brat, said Toji. He thrust forward with a kunai in hand. You got a bit too nosy, kid, and now you have to die, he said, swinging said weapon towards Naruto's chest. Naruto's fingertips, except for his thumb, started to glow with water gathering on it. Water slash, said Naruto. He thrust his hand out as Toji body split apart in 4 separate pieces before collapsing down to the ground dead. Naruto held his hand out and released black flames and burned his pieces to sunder. Mizuki's eyes was wide, seeing what he was seeing, but realizing that he couldn't be next. He unsealed the Fuma Shuriken, 2 of them, and launched them towards Naruto at the same time. Naruto looked up and saw the weapons coming towards him. He thrust his hand out as silk, iron silk, wrapped around the weapons and kept them. They then started to spin violently. As Naruto then grabbed Mizuki with said silk, the man tried to flee, he tried to run, but it was useless. Mizuki screamed as the silk covered his mouth. The Fuma Shurikens that were spinning with such ferocity. Mizuki's eyes went wide as Naruto pulled him right towards them. They ripped his body apart piece by piece. Naruto's cold, emotionless eyes observed the scene. Perhaps all of the darkness that he's absorbed has made him see death as nothing but something to do to prevent any future conflicts. Kurama told him that he could send away all the ill information, but Naruto wanted it all. He wanted to see what mankind truly was. He knew that he needed to grow up, and that is exactly what he did. Naruto discarded every single piece of the evidence that anyone was here. He picked up the Forbidden Scroll as he proceeded to absorb it. However, the next moment he pulled it out. Having taken all the information, Kurama adding them carefully to his mind. As Naruto walked, making his way to put this somewhere that it would be seen, so they could retrieve it. However, Naruto came to a stop. No, 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 no. He cursed in his mind as he slowly turned to see someone within the trees, binoculars, watching him. The person put them away. As they made their way, having to cross the large distance between them, Naruto stood there. He let his guard down. He did not focus outwards, allowing his reach to not stretch as far as it should, because he did not care for them much as an opponent, because he knew they were weak, but they were not the threats. The person that was watching him was not that he would ever try to harm this person. Itachi Uchiha landed and came face to face with Naruto, having just witnessed the atrocities that Naruto commit. But guys, me ends up so right here. If you want to see next person do, Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, stay posted. Furthermore, for now, see you guys soon. Peace.